Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and this video is going to be part 3 of my 4-part video series featuring books with fantastic titles. Now you may have already seen my video featuring nonfiction titles, and then my video featuring cozy mystery titles, and those were all books from my shelves. This video today is going to feature 10 of my favorite middle grade titles, and as it turns out, I only own one of them. So I had to make a trip to the library, which thankfully I can do on Tuesdays when my husband is home to stay with Emily, and I was able to make a quick trip to the Lake Alfred Library in Lake Alfred, Florida. It's only a couple of towns away from me. It's not the regular library that I go to most often, but I got on the library catalog and realized that Lake Alfred had all 8 of the books from my list of 9 books that I had so far. They had all 8 of them on their shelf, and that was great because I wouldn't have had time to order them and get them here, and then I wouldn't have had any way. Well, I could have ordered them, and then I would have had to have gone to the library to pick them up, but I don't have any way, except on Tuesdays, to go to the library and pick them up. So thankfully, I was able to just drive over to that library, get everything I needed, and get home. And so now it's Wednesday, and I can film this video. So now you may be wondering, you said 9 books, and in the title of this video, it clearly says 10 books. Well, I didn't know what that 10th book was going to be. When I originally thought of the idea for this video, I just went through all my Goodreads shelves and my physical shelves and just tried to brainstorm all the titles that I thought were ones that I wanted to feature in a video, and I realized then that I was going to have to do more than one video. So I, divided everything into categories, and so when I went back to actually pull out all the middle grade books and make a list of them, there were only 9. So I thought, well, I'll have to go back and look on my shelves and see if I can come up with something else. But while I was at the library yesterday, I ran across a title that was amazing, and I've never heard of the book. I haven't read it. All of the other 9 books I've read. So I knew that that was the book. That was my 10th book, and so I'm going to show it to you today. So let's get started. Now I have divided the 10 books into different categories, basically because I was trying to figure out what it is about these titles that draws me in. So the first category, I've got 3 books here, and these are all titles that are very wordy. They have really good adjectives. They have fun-sounding nouns. They're places that sound fun and just really interesting. And a couple of alliterations even, which you guys know I love alliterations. So the first one, though, is not an alliteration, but it is a Newbery winner. And I went back through all of the Newbery Medal winning list, and I didn't find another title that I thought stood out as much as this one. So this one is From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil Frankweiler by E.L. Konigsburg. This is the oldest book on this list of 10 that I'm going to show you today. This is probably the one that most of you are going to be the most familiar with. I'm sure many of you have read it. It is a fun book about 2 kids who run away from home and live in a museum, and it's their story of their adventure there. So I definitely recommend it. It's such a fun book. I actually reread it earlier this year. I didn't quite enjoy it as much the second time around as the first, but that's okay. It's still a great book, and I would recommend it. So then the next 2 are alliterations, and they're so fun. This one is probably one of my top 5 favorite middle grade books of all time. The Scandalous Sisterhood of Prickwillow Place by Julie Berry. I guess it's 2 alliterations put together, but anyway, it's still a great title, and it's a great book. So I don't want to go into too much detail right now, but it's so fun. It's a farce. It's about these girls at a girls' school, and like a boarding school, and their teacher is poisoned. Their housemaid, I guess she's not a teacher, maybe she's both, I don't know. Her and her brother are both poisoned right in front of them. And so they try to figure out who the murderer is without letting on to the rest of the community that these people are dead, because they don't want their parents to come and get them. They've got a pretty good thing going at this school, and they don't want that to stop. So it's just a fantastic book, and I would definitely recommend it. Then another one that is an alliteration and also a great book. I think I rated this one 5 stars as well. This is one of the Sunshine State books from 2 or 3 years ago. The Sinister Sweetness of Splendid Academy by Nikki Loftin. This is kind of a fractured fairy tale. There's some parts that sort of remind you of Hansel and Gretel and a couple of other fairy tales. And this book is just full of wonderful themes. It's just a fantastic book in so many ways. And I believe I did a video review of this book, so I will link it down below so that you can see it. And incidentally, also, there's another video I will link down below. I forgot to mention it at the beginning of the video. The library where I got all these books is the Lake Alfred Public Library in Lake Alfred, Florida, which is the town where Katie's middle school is located. Now, she's in high school now, but that's where she went to middle school. And I did a video in their library with the librarian from the middle school. She's the librarian that I'm always talking about who does Book Bowl, and she's the one that I help with the Book Bowl, and she did a video with me. It was the first time, I think it was my first year on BookTube, and we did a video summary of the Sunshine State books for that year. So if you want to check out a video that is filmed in that library, you can, and I would love for you to watch that video. If you're interested in middle grade books, which you probably are, or you wouldn't have clicked on this video, then that features the middle grade books from that particular year. And I've done a video summary of all of the books, all the Sunshine State books since then, but that was my first year doing that, and I did it with the librarian. So anyway, that was just a little aside. So now back to the next section, or the next category of books. I have 2 books here where the titles are action titles, and both of them feature, you know, since it's action, there's a noun and a verb, and they're just so cleverly written. The first one is clever because it features a real person, an actual notorious historical figure doing something mundane, and you don't see that very often. This is Al Capone Does My Shirts by Gennifer. I think it's Choldenko, and I read this a long time ago. I should read this again because I don't remember a lot about it, but I know that it's about a kid whose parents work at Alcatraz. So it's just a fun premise, and I remember enjoying it, and there is more books in the series now too. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you should check it out. Definitely, it's got a title that just pulls you right in. And then the next one has a more mundane noun, and this title is just great. Turn Left at the Cow by Lisa Bullard. Now, this takes place in Minnesota. I don't know if you can see with the glare, but on the front cover, there is an outline of the state of Minnesota on the front, and it's just cute. As you guys know, anytime you're giving directions for out in the country, it's always been a fun joke to talk about fun landmarks. Well, who would ever think of using a cow as a landmark? So I can't even remember what this book is about, but I absolutely love the title. This was a Sunshine State book from a couple of years ago as well. I can't remember what year. Maybe not this past year, but the year before that. Anyway, it's a fantastic title. I'm sorry about the glare. These library books that have plastic coverings make it hard to see in a video. Okay, so the next 3 are very simple titles, but they are names. 2 of them are nicknames. One of them is an actual name, and I also have an honorable mention that's an elementary book. And, you know, you think, well, what's great about a name? But they're so great because they're just perfect titles to describe the book, and they really are names that stand out. They mean something to the story, and they're just cleverly written, and I just love the titles. So one of them is actually 2 of them are Sunshine State books. One is Frogkisser by Garth Nix. Now, Frogkisser is a princess, you know, Princess and the Frog and all of that. But this story is so cleverly done. It's not really a retelling of The Princess and the Frog, and there are a lot more frogs than just one. And the title is given endearingly and I would say reverently to the princess. And it's just really a delightful book. I'm pretty sure I rated it 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend it. And then another one is a graphic novel. This, I think, is just a fantastic title. El Deafo. It is by Cece Bell, and I believe that it is autobiographical. And, you know, you look at this name, El Deafo, and you think that sort of sounds like a slur. But Cece has made it into the name of a superhero, and it's just really a great book. It's about a young girl who has to wear a hearing aid, and it's just really great. It's a graphic novel, and I would highly recommend it. And then the one that I'll show you this one real quick, kind of an honorable mention. It's an elementary book, so it's not one of these 10, but also it's a catchy title that sort of describes the book in a fun way, and I just wanted to mention it because now this was on my shelves, by Deborah and James Howe, Bunnicula. I mean, that's great because you automatically conjure up, you know, vampire bunny pictures in your mind, and you know, it makes you want to pick it up. So that's definitely a great title. But again, that's an aside because it's more of an elementary book than a middle grade book. Okay, the last one that is a name. I love this, and this is a great book. This is a Sunshine State book from maybe 5 years ago, and I believe I read this just before I got on Goodreads, and I don't think I read all of the Sunshine State books from the year that this one was a Sunshine State book. So anyway, that would have been like early 2015. Anyway, this book is great. This is Emma Freke by Elizabeth Atkinson. Emma is a young girl who is very awkward. She's coming of age, and she just feels like that she is just a misfit. She's got red hair, which of course red hair is beautiful, but she doesn't think so. And her name is Emma, and her last name is Freke, Freke. And she's just, you know, it's her story, and it is delightful. At one point in the story, she is invited to a family reunion. Now, she never knew her father, I believe, and so she's never met anyone from the Freke family. And she is invited to this reunion, and she goes, and it's just great. I'm not going to give away anything else from there, but I definitely recommend picking it up. It is delightful. And then the last two are books that start out with the word how. So how someone did something. And there's all kinds of great adjectives and nouns and great words, quirky sounding, fun sounding words. And actually, the first one doesn't have that many adjectives, but it's got a lot of nouns. And both of these titles are very wordy, and you might not be able to remember the whole title from memory, but they definitely stand out. They are memorable in that when you hear that title, you're like, oh yeah, that book. So the first one is a Sunshine State book from last year, and I read it last year. And then the last one I want to show you is the one I just found at the library that I know nothing about. So this one is not necessarily my favorite title. It's just a good description of the book, and altogether, I think it's just a really fun title. This is How Lunchbox Jones Saved Me from Robots, Traitors, and Missy the Cruel. It's by Gennifer Brown, and it is really a good book. Now, I don't think I rated it 5 stars. I probably rated it 4 stars, but it's still a fantastic book, and it's just a really good story about middle school. It is about a boy who, I forget now why, he doesn't want to be involved in anything extracurricular. He just wants to go to school and do what he needs to do and go home. I forget now, I think he is, something had happened in his life previously, and he just kind of wants to be left alone. But the forces that be sort of pull him into the robotics club. Even though he doesn't want to go, he's forced to go, and it goes from there. So it's just a really nice book, and if that sounds interesting to you, then I would definitely recommend it. Okay, now the last one. I know you're waiting for this one. If you have heard of this book or if you have read it, please tell me about it, because I haven't even read the back, and I just simply love the title. All right, this is How Lamar's Bad Prank Won a Bubba-Sized Trophy. It's going to have something to do with bowling. It's by Crystal Allen. And really, what is a Bubba-Sized trophy? Is that big or little? I don't know. But I just had to get it. It sounds fantastic. And this is my number 10th book. It may be my favorite title of all of these. I don't know. I haven't really decided. But again, I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and if I didn't, these books, I didn't really put them in, I didn't rank them from least favorite to most favorite. I just wanted to kind of divide them into categories. So I don't really have a favorite, but this one is definitely fantastic. So that's it. Those are the 10 books, and those are the 10 middle grade books that I think have fantastic titles. Almost all of them I can recommend to you because I've read them. And that's all I have for this video. Let me know if you have read any of these books, or if any of these have been on your radar, or if any of them are on your TBR, or if you're putting them on your TBR right now because you saw this video. That's all I have for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.